So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is part 2 of Mythomorphia with the Inktense blocks, which arrived a couple of days ago, a few days ago. So I've pulled out 2110, which when I've looked at my little book of colours, I've chosen because it's a blue-grey and it's Payne's Grey number 2110. So the Inktense pencil guide and scratch pot that I've got in here, I'm using as a colour guide for picking some of these colours, because the greys are kind of very, very similar when you see them in this state. So the new Derwents, they've put them in these little foam kind of cradles, so you can lift them out, and they've also put an extra bit of cardboard to protect the plastic interior. But I quite like the fact I can lift them out and pop them back in again. And I've never worked with them like this, but for some reason it just dawned on me that this is what I wanted to do. They're a cross between a crayon, a waxy crayon, and almost harder than a hard pastel, but they will snap. They're very much like a pastel. As you see, I've been scratching just a little bit of colour, and they're just the fact that they're ink based instead of water based like a pastel. So they're a bit stronger but not much, so just sliding it across the page is going to give you a kind of a bit of a scratchy area. So you can scratch sideways like this if you've got a big area. I've been using the edge on this one. Which one did I use? Let me have a look. So I've done all this area in, I think this one was, bear with me, I think this one was neutral grey. Yes, it was 2010. And if you can see the edge, when I find it, there's the tiniest little bit of edge there. Can see that, just that little bit, and that's because I've just been very carefully scratching round. So that's how much I've used to cover that, and I quite like that. But when I finished with it, although it's dried now, when I finished I might just go over and darken it. It depends what the whole thing looks like, but I like the idea that you can take them out and almost use them like a crayon. So this one's Payne's Grey, and I quite like the fact that she might want to be a blue-grey, a blue-black grey, almost like a black Labrador. They're kind of black, but they've got a blue tint to them, and I quite like that. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Suzanne's yes, welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live people. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for people to watch at their leisure on YouTube. And thank you if you're watching on YouTube for choosing to watch my waffle about my colouring. So I quite like the idea of that. So that kind of, and again, a bit spooky, bit kind of nasty spidery, because she's obviously killed and caught all these creatures. So I'm working with a number 1 and a number 2 water brush, and I don't normally, but two things, they're very quick, I have to say, very quick. I do love my way of working with my riggers, but I think I'm going to work with the water brush just on this page. And there's a finer one. Number 1 is a very fine one, and the number 2 is the one I've used for the background. It's very quick, and if you keep drying it off, because it's a little bit too wet for a colour book, but it's not so bad. I don't like any crinkle, you see, so I haven't got any crinkle on the next page. Sorry, Alfie's just going to make an entrance. So the other idea I had was to scratch the colour over, and then you could leave these in your studio or in your at home, and take the book and a water brush, and it would look like this. The only thing you've got to do is to put a piece of paper between, because it's there's a little bit of contamination if you rub, and so it'll go on your other colour page on the other side. But I quite like working with these next to me and kind of scratching out. So I need to put this on because if you touch your hand onto here, it'll come off a bit. But I love the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour it all first and scratch a bit of colour, and then I'll activate it with a water brush as if I was kind of somewhere else. So I like that idea. It's a little bit like when we were kids and we had those magic colouring books that you had a wet brush, and when you touched a certain area it would change colour. So I'm working on that principle, but this one is Payne's Grey and it's a little bit bluer. Oopsie. So if I use the corner I can get quite a fine line. And again, what I want to have is that really quick, natural blend. So I do not have to go back in with another crayon or another pencil or anything, unless I really want to. I probably can do it, put a little bit of a shadow in, but I want to get all the highlights in. You can always work darker, but it's more difficult to work lighter. So I'm kind of following where the cross hatching is, so that when I use a brush I can manipulate the colour where I want it. And I think that's going to kind of work quite well. And you can get some quite nice markings on there. Oh, thanks, Suzanne. Sorry, I wasn't looking at what I was looking at. Oh, Ken says you're doing your colour swatching for Faber-Castell Albert Dürer watercolours. Well, don't wash your brush out, will you? If you wash your brush out, you're wasting 20 potentially with 20 pages of watercolour. This is the Gansai Tambi watercolours. When I did my colours in here, sorry for this bunny trail, instead of washing the brush out when I've colour swatched it and really got quite a lot of colour on here, like a fat puddle, I did 2 pages. That's when the brush gets dry, it's full of colour when you've done one of these. A touch of water and I've just kept going, and when it dried out, another touch of water, and I kept going until I got absolutely nothing. The palest of pales. And I got 20 colour pages from 36 colours. So all this was coloured. All this would have been washed down the drain. And when I'd finished doing all 36, my jam jar of water was completely clean, and yet I coloured all those Gansai Tambi professional watercolours. So don't wash your brush out. Get a colour book. It takes longer, obviously, because you're colouring in as you go, but you'll be surprised how much you waste. And I chose things that I didn't really like, but I took these very dark greens to the palest colours, just by dipping when the paintbrush, although it was got colour on it, was dried, and I even put it on the inside just to make sure I got every scrap of colour. Nothing was in that jam jar at all, because otherwise it just goes down the drain. And I think Jenny Belly actually has a piece of paper on her desk, and she scratches everything out and cleans all the paintbrushes out on that, and it makes the most wonderful colourful display. But I just haven't got the patience to do that. But I've designed, and I've now done 2 pages now. I've done 2 pages with this water, and it's clear. Because if you use a rigger and just put colour on the end, you use all that colour. And if you use all the colour, and again, I've used Inktense blocks, and I've just done this page here, which is on a video that I'll upload. So I finished this page in Inktense blocks this morning and yesterday, and that's my pot. There's hardly anything in there whatsoever. So a tight Yorkshire lass, all my colour goes in my pages, it doesn't go down the sink. I think you could have a sketchbook as well, and you could make colours on your sketchbook and then cut them up and do things with them. Oh, thank you, Melody, thank you. Sorry, I don't know if I'm reading chat for the second time. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. We're having a bit of a moment in here. Oh, that's what I was doing. I was doing her look. So scratching this bit of colour where there's dark. And then you've got all the maneuver. Oh, I don't know what. We have a lurcher who's having a moment. She's having a phantom pregnancy, and she's about 75 in adult years, I think. Nobody knows really how old she is, but she's having a bit of a grump. Just bear with me. What? So this is Piggles. Come here, Piggles. This is Gigi. Hello, Gigi. And she's got a muzzle on, but you can get your hands in it. She can eat a chew with it. But if I don't have that, she bites Alfie, because she hates other dogs, don't you? I know, you're beautiful. Are you having a phantom pregnancy? I know. And she's had her nose broken because she's been beaten. She's very badly treated. Can you sit? Pigs, sit. We call her Pigs. Iggle Piggles, sit. 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 She doesn't want to sit, do you? You don't want to sit, do you? So this is our Piggles, aren't you? I know you want me to play with your ears. I know, that's what all she wants you to do, is to play with the ears all day for hours on end. Are you going to sit now? You're going to sit now? I mean, it's massive, is this? Absolutely massive. She has chewy bones and all sorts with it on. But it's just an incentive because you're grumpy, aren't you? And they've been to the vets with some violent fights. So. Right, Missy, are you going to go sit down? Or do you want to go out? Is that what you want? Can you go ask somebody else then? And do you have to ask me live? Oh, thank you. No, don't do this. You're a big girl. You're a big girl, Pigs. You're a big girl. You're a big girl. Yes, all right, okay. So this is our big girl who's spoilt rotten. Thank you. Are you famous now, Pigs? You're famous. Right, can we get down now? Because we've had a lurcher cam, which we don't normally have. Yes, all right. So pop that back onto there. Sorry about that. I'll have to go sort Madam out. So I'll stop that recording because I think that's ruined. Thanks for watching.